We are live. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to give, just a couple minutes real quick just so people can start getting in. Just for the record, while we're waiting. In fact, it might actually let me put in a caption here. Show live to, okay, that's cool. What is this? Static text on preview. What if I do this? Let's see what it'll do. Greetings, we got our first viewer. We're just waiting just a minute for people to start coming in and tuning into the live. We will live stream every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's a weird word.
Yeah, isn't it? All right, I clicked add. Let's see what happens when we hit show. Here we go.
We will stream every Wednesday at 12 p.m. CST.
Yep.
That's Central Standard Time.
Yes, it is.
Just so you guys know, that's not some kind of crazy language magic with all capital letters, corporation type stuff. That's just an abbreviation.
Yes, it is. So we're just letting a few of y'all get in. Let me make sure that it's streaming on my end over here. Okay, yep, it's streaming on my Facebook. So it looks like people are already seeing that. Very good. All right, yep, here we go. So here we got some people, so let's go ahead and begin. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Live here with the Credit Experts. I am hosted by my awesome business partner here, Jesse. And today we're actually going to be going over the story, the origin story of the Credit Repair Experts, and a little bit of background as to how our business has evolved and how happy we are to actually be able to do this kind of service for everybody else. So let's see, I think I can do that too. Boop. Just a little bit of context before we begin. I'm going to put up here one more time. We will be live streaming every Wednesday at noon Central. This can change. So if we do decide to change it, there will be posts and announcements made in regards to that. But we are going to try to stick to this. So everybody who's on lunch break there on hump day can get a little bit of taste of Credit Repair Experts and possibly get some of their questions answered. So just for disclosure, our schedule now is we're uploading videos every Saturday, and we are going live every Wednesday. So any other additional nuggets will be extra special bonuses for y'all. So that being said, I'm going to just take the time to dive straight into our origin story. So it all really started for me about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago, when I finished college, I decided that I most likely was not going to enter any profession in regards to what I studied in college. I studied physics and mathematics. I found that it was kind of any job that you could get for that didn't really match the knowledge that I had acquired. It was mostly just tech or something like that, or data, something involving data. So I decided after that I had a couple odd jobs. I worked as a head chef at a vegan restaurant, and then I worked as like a kind of like a sub manager at Chipotle. And then after that was over, I decided to get into landscaping. And so I got into landscaping, and it was in the service world. And at the same time, Jesse was actually Jesse is and was in a relationship with my best friend in college. She lived in the dormitory right across from mine. And so we had actually met about when I was finishing college. I had met Jesse. And so at the time, he was actually doing business consulting work. So Jesse was actually helping other businesses grow and structuring them, and also helping them with their marketing campaign. And then after a certain amount of time, we had actually been engaged with each other in spiritual discourse. So that's how our friendship really blossomed, is that we had started talking about, what does it really mean to be here in this world? And like, yeah, money's cool, working's cool, all that. But like, does God really exist? And it's funny, Jesse actually had a lot of good points that would normally kind of refute the standard religious sentimentality when it comes to spiritual life. But thankfully, I was favored enough by Krishna to satisfy all those inquiries and all those doubts. And I'll let Jesse tell a little bit about that, because I think that's really important. The basis of how we got together was not actually for business. What was your experience when we talk about that?
It was man, I didn't expect to dive into all that in this, but yeah, I'll be definitely be happy to. So yeah, whenever we met, I was, you know, I was of the belief, not that I was an atheist, but I was a bit more. I considered myself to be agnostic, right? I was like, there could be something, but really, I have no idea, and really, I'm just going to stay in my own lane and this path in life, and abide by a strict moral code that I hold myself to. Because, regardless of whether there is an entity or not, I had always believed that, one should always live as best they can and abide by, higher principles. Um, but then I was having a whole bunch of conversations with Brendan, and of course, me having like a history of debate and loving to talk about very, very deep topics. I've never been much of a casual talker. I get very, very bored with small talk. Uh, we we ended up going into this long discourse multiple times about, is God real? Does he exist? Does she exist? Um, you know, uh, if so, like, how can we prove that? How can I disprove that? And through a logical discourse, we actually came to the conclusion that yes, God exists, which was honestly, it was a huge change in paradigm of my life, and I'm really really glad that I met Brendan, because without having met him, I would probably still be agnostic. And honestly, I'd say that my ethics and values and morals have only actually improved from what they once were, due to the existence of God and the studies in my life. So I owe Brendan that, and through our relationship and our like-mindedness, we actually decided, you know, why not just go into business together? I was already an entrepreneur. He was already an entrepreneur. We were both doing things that we enjoyed doing, but we knew that we wanted to do something more, something a little bit more impactful. Uh, you know, mowing yards is cool, and I was helping small businesses by coaching them and doing marketing. But honestly, whenever you work for a lot of business owners, you start to find out that it's kind of disenchanting work. It's a little bit, I think, glorified in what you're actually doing. And I wanted to help more like day to day people, and not necessarily like stick to strictly business owners. And so, yeah, I'm going to hand it back to Brendan and kind of let him talk about, how we actually got into credit repair.
Hare Krishna, buddy. Glad you're on this side of the fence. So it's way more fun over here, and the food's way better. So if y'all haven't been to any of the Hare Krishna temples that have a restaurant, by the way, y'all got to go hit those up. So back to the story. So yes, so after we kind of had that philosophical connection, and in my opinion to be definitely a past life association, we had decided that yes, we should get into business together. And so when we did that, initially it was a little bit more remote. So Jesse also had experience working in technically with tech and networks and things like this. So we initially were getting into business together to actually do marketing. And so it wasn't until it actually didn't take very long that I actually had Jesse come and live in my city. And so that way we could work in close proximity. And so when we did that, the first thing that we did is we sat down and we were like, hey, let's figure out a way to make some money. Well, Jesse already had experience doing marketing and doing all this, and I'm a really fast learner, and I have a natural knack for sales. Like, I naturally can help match people with a solution. And so I thought it was a perfect match. At the time, I was really hardcore studying the sovereignty movement and the information revolving that. So I really wanted to do something with that. We actually were going to design courses and then market those courses to people to learn about the commercial system. Well, we had just so happened, and I am going to make a name drop in this live today. We had just so happened to watch one of Yusuf L's live videos. Y'all probably know who that is. And we saw that he was actually going to be staying at one of the really popular hotels in Dallas. And so I did there out of the blue. I did call his number and things like this beforehand, but he's a real busy guy. So I said, you know what, Jesse, let's just give it a shot. We drove down there to the hotel, and I called him, and he answered. And I said, hey, man, I saw on your YouTube that you said you were going to come here. Are you at the hotel? He says, yes, I am. I'm like, well, please, man, come down here. I want to meet you. Your information has been inspiring for me. I actually, right now, as one of the extra ways to make money, I deliver mail. And so I listen to your audio on your YouTube every day. All of your older videos, especially, I listen to those all the time. And we just clicked. We got into the little restaurant they had in the hotel. We sat down and we spoke, and we had inquired if there was a way that we could work together. And he agreed that the services we were originally intending to provide that he wanted. So we were going to try to, beef up his website and, do some more marketing and just kind of overall expand what he was doing. Unfortunately, that wasn't able to work out. As you can see, we're obviously not working for him. But Yusuf, if you ever watch this live or if you ever see this, man, we still want to work with you. So if you see us, we know circumstances happen. Mercury was going retrograde at the time, so let's just blame it on that. It wasn't your fault. But we want to work with you still, man. So that being the case, I had actually, very much anticipated being able to do this work. And so I had quit my landscaping and my regular the mail delivering job that I had. And so after the deal, we couldn't finalize the deal. I do this thing, and Jesse sees it, where I curl my legs together and I kind of come down and I go like this. And I'm like trying to figure out, bro, how are we gonna? I don't know how to discharge debt. I don't know how to do nothing. How are we gonna freaking get by? Because I don't got anything coming in right now. I got to figure out what to do. Well, it didn't take very long. It took me like about 10 minutes. I'm sitting there and we were shooting ideas back and forth, and I go, credit repair. And the reason I brought it up is because my good friend Christian, which I hopefully can see this live also, he actually worked for a very popular company called UCES, which is now known as UWE, which, disclosure, guys, the FTC shut them down last week. So I had actually had him help me with my credit way back. I had actually had some old credit cards stolen. That's how, and they got charged up, and I told them I'm not paying. Yeah. And so
and their company actually also, just fun fact, is their company, they're massive company, thousands, tens of thousands of clients, and their success rate is right around probably 50%. They can get about half of everything removed.
Right. Yeah. And so, and then that's if you actually send out the letters. So
Right.
a lot of times, clients kind of sign on because they want someone to do it for them. But actually, they mail out template letters. So
And then they
um,
have you sign them, and then you have to mail them out.
normally I wouldn't not be crapping on them since my good friend Christian, was working for them. But since they got shut down now I don't feel bad. So, uh, uh, yeah, they're just we learned because I started selling for them because I really wanted to help people. I really thought I was helping people. I really thought that we were doing the right thing. But then over time, clients would hit me back saying, "I want to get a refund. I want to do this. I want to do that." And I'm like, "Well, are you sending out the letters? Are you doing this and that?" Some of them would say no. Some of them would say, I didn't do that because I wanted to do it myself." And some of them were like, "Yes, I have. It's not working." Right. So things like this were happening. I'm like, well, this is dumb. I'm trying to get some real results. So me and Jesse sat down, and after it was only like a month or two that we were like seriously selling for them. And then I think, right, like I don't think it was
About
that
a
long.
month and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, about a month and a half. And so we sat down and we're like, dude, we should really do something else. Like, I used the service, um, and it didn't actually work for me. I ended up doing it myself anyway, but it kind of like motivated me since I bought into it to do it. And so I was like, why don't we just show people how to do it? Like that way we empower people. Like, let's do this. Uh, and so we decided to do that. So we started the credit repair experts, and it initially was a educational service. So we were providing people with the letters and all this, but we were also consulting with them and giving them complete access to us on how to do the process. But we found a similar issue that even though people were buying in and they would take the document, even when we would contact them, we weren't getting any other responses or feedback. And while most people would be like, "Well, they paid, so whatever," that's not really what my intention was entering the business.
Right. We wanted to get people results.
Yeah, um, and so yeah, the boxing science says it. I like you guys, however, people don't like to read. Old saying: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can tell them the law, but most won't read it. That's a fact. And so that's pretty much the conclusion we came to. And so once we saw that we weren't really gaining any traction, we were really, really thankful that while we were promoting the package and while we were releasing content, we encountered one of our partners. He's a silent partner of ours, but he's been extremely effective. He's helped us to essentially take the service that we were offering to show people how to do, and to make it to where we could do it completely done for you for the client. He showed us how to systematize it. He showed us how to get it all done. He actually was a debt collector in the past, so he knew how the automated eOscar system worked, and he showed us the ins and outs and the tricks. And so then we were confidently able to, and he knew the legality of what it means to really be a someone who can offer this service on done for you. So thankfully, that was Krishna's will that we were able to receive that knowledge. And then once we received that knowledge, we were able to set up our business to be able to do it all for you guys. So now we're at a point where now we're really looking to scale big time, because so many people need this service. And as far as I know, we're the only company that actually offers a money back guarantee. And so I have not met any other companies that offer that. We do what we say we're going to do, and it's the best feeling in the world when people's items are getting deleted and people are getting taken care of. It's just the greatest feeling ever. And so now here we are. Michelle says, I've reached out a few times. I haven't heard back. What's the best way to get in contact? Here, Michelle, I'm going to actually put that here in the captions. Oops, not that one. But we do go live every Wednesday, guys. Let me do another one. So
This is only our second stream on this platform, so a little bit of a learning curve.
yeah, so yeah, please do forgive us because we're on the scaling side. Um, uh, Originally, it was my contact information that was on there, and it's still kind of lingering. I get kind of overwhelmed at times. So if you want to contact us, this is the best way to reach out. But thank you, Michelle. If you want to get in touch with us, that's our office number. So uh, to kind of wrap up the story, credit repair is really how we got started in our entrepreneurial journey with helping people along, coinciding with um, this this lawful knowledge, the sovereignty knowledge. Uh, uh, the Our business now has been able to expand. We actually, if you call that number, it'll say thank you for calling J&J Enterprises, because Jesse, again, I think it's divine that he shares the same family name that I do. We're both Jones, both of the House of Jones, and so we decided to start Jones and Jones Trust Company, which is also known as J&J Enterprises. And so J&J Enterprises, we're able to offer the credit restoration and credit consulting. We're also able to help get people funded. Right now, we're partnered with a good friend of mine who actually does business funding. But we're about to be in the process to be able to completely do all that in house as well to get you funded. And then we also have a cash flow mechanism to be able to help cash flow your business with the money that we help you raise, with the capital that we help you raise. So it's been super awesome to be able to do this. We'll be releasing more content about that here in the future. We're kind of debating on how to structure, should we use different YouTube channels to talk about content not related to credit, but really credit is the whole thing. So we are called the credit repair experts, but we'll probably eventually at some point just have a DBA as credit experts also, just because, yes, we do repair and a lot of people do need the repair, but it's really a lot more. That's a lot more to the picture of credit and how that all works than that. So if it wasn't for all those experiences that Krishna brought into our world, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't have this opportunity to talk with you guys.
No, and honestly, just to elaborate on that aspect of it a little bit more, it's really funny because along the path of our growth, we would always make plans. Like we would come up with like our weekly plan, our monthly plan, and even like a yearly plan, just kind of, you know, trying to make everything come together. And then something would happen that would like throw a wrench in our plans, like 1 or 2 weeks in. And it'd be like, it wouldn't be like a little nugget of information, right? It would be like something would come our way and it would completely change the way we thought about our entire business. And that, I mean, that happened a lot. It still happens all the time. Like
Still happens.
I'll talk to Brendan and like, you know, in a month or something, we'll be working on our own projects and we'll come together to collaborate on something. And he'll be like, he'll just dump information on me. He's like, dude, look at all these things I learned. We're very fortunate to be connected. A very awesome, powerful network, and it's totally game changing. And so you guys actually get to come up with us in that journey, which is really exciting. It's a great opportunity for everybody that's involved, and we're happy that we're actually able to help people in the way that we are.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Jesse. And yeah, that is true. Stuff like that happened all the time where constantly new knowledge, new resources, new people would come in, and you get this sense of there's definitely something spiritual to all of it, because people would come in and right out the get-go would be like, yeah, we'll get you in with our business. Like, no problem. You can help us do this, this, and that. And some of them didn't turn out to work out, and those were for learning experiences, and some of them really did. And now we have really awesome, long-lasting relationships. So all glories go to the creator for that one. So to kind of wrap up the story, we started from very humble beginnings, just wanting to help people, now to where I think very realistically here in the next year or two, we're really going to be able to be pushing this information and be a little bit more on the forefront, because I haven't, and this is not to brag, but I have not met or seen anybody else that displays the information in an all-encompassing way like we've been able to do, that incorporates the spiritual aspect, the financial aspect, the quote personal aspect, right? Like how being a man or a woman really is really the main journey here, and being able to actually put resources in people's hands where we can reciprocate back and forth. You know, a lot of the sovereignty groups, they don't have a business mechanism behind them that's backing them up because of their well-founded opinion on the financial system. They're not allowing themselves to utilize the resources while they're still engaging in the public. If you're using Facebook and you're using all these things, you are in the public. And so, you know, if I'm in a swimming pool, I'm going to learn how to swim rather than trying to resist and try to walk through the water. I'm going to make my situation as easy as possible to utilize. And then, you know, I'm using the water while it's there. And then when I get out, you know, I'm going to dry off with my towel. So you can be in the private, have your contract set up in the public, and not be a slave. There's a lot of, information out there about kind of like our status and how we've been enslaved. Really, Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that the only enemy in this world is our uncontrolled mind. So there actually are no other enemies in this world. I don't care if it's the government. I don't care who it is. The real enemy, because they can't actually stop your destiny. The only one who can stop your destiny is the one making the choice, right? And that's you. So you do have the power, but it's not that you created the power. You were given the power in trust. As Tonya said, need to use trust law. It's the highest law. Only a charitable trust overrides the rules against perpetuities. That's correct. I'm actually going to show that right here. Yes, you do need to use trust law because, in fact, it is a fact actually that our relationship with the Creator is trust. So, in reality, you know, utilizing that same principle, the law of cause and effect and the law of equity, is how you actually advance in life. So Tonya is very correct. I am going to take this opportunity to go back into some of the comments and kind of elaborate on some of the things I've said. So unfortunately, I am able to see my live stream here on Facebook. I don't know why it's not showing me on my overlay on Facebook, but
Facebook comments.
Yeah, it's not showing Facebook comments on the overlay. I'm not sure why. Someone from California is calling me. But that's okay. I'll figure that out later. But I will, if you guys drop anything on Facebook, if you guys are watching this on Facebook, I will answer your questions. Please drop them down. Let's see here. So Tanya said quite a bit. Thank you, Tanya, by the way, for all your engagement here in our videos. We very much appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's see. iTech says, you guys are very informative and experienced, which gives me more confidence in working with your team. I very much appreciate that. That means we've talked already. We probably have. Maybe these guys are the truth. That's very nice, iTech. The Boxing Science says, who report tax liens and bankruptcy? If the courts or the county is not the creditor, who has the authority to report? So generally, that's usually third-party repositories, the most popular one being called LexisNexis. So it's usually LexisNexis that reports tax liens and bankruptcies. They actually pull off public records. So it's not that the courts or the county report to the credit bureaus, but it's just on public record. And then usually when you've signed up, when you sign up for any kind of credit, they automatically get your permission for you to opt into LexisNexis. So you can actually turn that off by opting out of LexisNexis and disputing with them on what they're allowed to be reporting to the credit bureaus because you don't have a contract with them. But LexisNexis is actually the one that reports to the three major bureaus. Tanya says, I don't think the world has a creditor. That's why the world is bankrupt. There's only debt in the world right now. Well, in order for there to be debt, there has to be a performance contract. So you have to be performing for somebody. So there definitely is a creditor, and that's us. Now, because we don't know that we're the creditors, just like most people don't know that the soul inside the body, because they think the source of life comes from the body, then they do things without knowledge. And that usually causes us suffering. It causes us pain and problems in life. So even in the financial realm, if I didn't know I had $1 million sitting in my bank account and I was just going around trying to make ends meet, I'm suffering only due to lack of knowledge. Not because I don't have any money. I do have the money. Materially speaking, I have everything that I'm looking for, but I don't have the knowledge to be able to use it. I don't have the bank account information. I don't have whatever. Right. So in that same way in life, when we don't have the knowledge and we don't know how to use it, it's pretty much effectually just as if the situation weren't there at all. But the situation is there. We are the creditors. That's evident in not only federal law, but also evident in the aspects of trust law.
And we do teach people how to actually, just to elaborate a little bit more, something else that we do, not with credit repair experts, but we do teach people how to come at finances as the creditor. Most of it is retrospective, actually. So you typically come in and you do everything afterwards. So it's a little bit backwards, but that is something that we teach.
Yes, we do. And very soon we will have a public education platform. And that will be fantastic. I can't wait to have that. Let's see. Boxing Science says, greatest thing of government, everything they do must be according to something in writing. That's correct. Because everything regarding government is based off of the British legal system. And the British legal system is predicated and only predicated on record. And the universe is actually like this. Everything is actually on records. They call it the Akashic records. And so this is the record that gets that's energetically imprinted into how we live. And our memory derives itself from this spiritual principle. When in a conversation, the four most powerful words are, how do you know? Well, this is a great question. How we know, I would like to know that. I ask Krishna all the time, how do I even know all this stuff? Like, yeah, I've studied. And yeah, it's not like I have not done any of my due diligence. But I really have no business knowing some of the information that I know. Like these attorneys who've been doing this for like 40 years, I know more than them, but not because I've been studying more than them. There has to be something like from my past, maybe before I was even born, that is inspiring me to do this, or I'm being currently inspired now. There's got to be something that my eyes can't see or I can't recollect that's allowing me to portray this information the way that I am. So for that, I have to thank Krishna for always.
And also, we can't take credit for most of the knowledge that we teach to you guys. I mean, everything that we're teaching has come from somebody else. It's not like we created this information from scratch. We just have an elaborate network because we do try to help people, and because people see that we're trying to help people and they see that we're putting in the work, they want to help us, and that just helps us help more people.
Yes, I agree. Tanya is very engaged. I like this. She says, in terms of a person, which can be a corporation, I think it's the registration of live birth, is one of three persons. The registration of live birth is Jesus, the placenta that died. The estate, ROLB, is bankrupt, though. It has an accusation on it of breach of trust. Boxing Science says, did not know that. Tanya says, there is no credit on earth, only bankruptcy, until Christ returns, which requires us to fix, face, and acknowledge the debt of deliverance. Until then, the creditor is aborted. Yes, so that's a very deep conversation, Tanya, which I will be talking about the spiritual aspects of these. I am actually having somebody here at some point. I haven't had time to do it yet, but I'm actually going to be building a website specifically for spiritual knowledge. That'll be completely free. Everything will be free there. Lots of great networking there. Christ Christ has to come down to earth, though, and not stay in heaven, which means we have paperwork to do. Now, I do want to be very clear here that Christ is actually here right now. He may not have a form here on the earth, but Christ is here. Christ is the Christos, and we actually have the ability to enter into Christed consciousness. Every time we think, because Christ is a ascended master and an elevated being, every time we think of Christ, he's actually here. So the fact that we're talking about him, he's actually here right now. He's known as Yahshua in the Hebrew language, and he is actually the way, the truth, and the light. So not to get too deep into the spiritual part of it, but everybody who practices like a major religion, especially the Christians, I'm very familiar with them. I grew up a Baptist. I'm now a Hare Krishna. The word Krishna and Christ are the same. And he very much is the way. Now he's here with us now. So there's yes, we do have work to do, Tonya. I totally agree with your sentiments. We do have paperwork to do. We're the ones that mess this up. We're the responsible ones. We're the ones that have to remedy it. But he's always helping us, even in prayer. Prayer is extremely powerful. So Human's Audacity says, LexisNexis send me a letter stating my bankruptcy has been deleted in their system. I mail a copy to the credit agencies with a written letter for them to delete the bankruptcy, yet all three credit agencies refused to delete the bankruptcy. So my suggestion to you, Human's Audacity, would be to pull the Fair Credit Reporting Act statute that states that should they be given record on the investigation that they are required to terminate. Otherwise, you do have grounds to sue them for that. So that's very good. The Boxing Science says, when speaking with the question, how do you know, give the presenter the opportunity to tell you where they read or heard the info so you can confirm the information become yours as well. Yes, of course. This is actually something very interesting. This is definitely an esoteric fact, but also a fact just in regular material life, is that actually the source of information is more important than the information itself. And I'm going to use a very crude example. Let's say that there's an article online stating that Hillary Clinton actually was born in Antarctica, and her family is actually a set of polar bears. Okay. If you were to read that article, like if I were to read that article out loud to my family, the first thing that they would say is, who wrote that? That's the first thing. Okay. Children, when they say certain things, we know it's coming from a child. So we know that there's pure intention, pure at heart. When we read random things on the internet, anybody can just write some article, and it doesn't matter whether the information is correct or not. And it can just get circulated like that. So the first thing that we look at when we have information is we look at what's the source of that information, right? So when people see letterheads from, oh, look, the IRS said this. The reason why whatever the statement is has credence is because of the authority, the authority, the author. So the authority is the authorship of where it comes from. So the source of information is very important. In fact, it's the most important thing. That's why we consider scripture, or Shastra in the Sanskrit text, to be the highest form of knowledge, because it comes from perfected beings. So Tanya says he's in the mind, he's conceived, we are pregnant with him on the RLB, and then as we trust his labor, deliver him to the world. Human's Audacity says, okay, thank you. Yes, you're welcome. Since we are the creditors, we shouldn't be dealing in FRNs, correct? Technically speaking, yes. Because the Federal Reserve note actually represents a debt the United States owes to that particular entity, that Federal Reserve Bank, which is privately owned. Technically, we shouldn't be dealing in FRNs. But being creditors, that also means we have to be responsible as well as do our accounting. So until the people learn how to work together and exchange value with one another without using the Federal Reserve's medium of exchange to do so, it's very unrealistic and not going to happen. So Tonya says, yes, what I say is deep and probably not appropriate for here. My apologies, but consider my points to help expand on your offerings. You're doing important work even at this level. Absolutely, Tonya. We very much appreciate it. Very much. Most people don't realize a fact can only be determined with the five senses. Other than that, it is hearsay. Yes, at least materially. Materially, facts can only be determined with the five senses. But actually, the real knowledge cannot be determined with the five senses. The real knowledge is actually distributed through disciplic succession of the spiritual masters or the acharyas, and through descended knowledge from the spiritual world through the shastra and through sadhus, through the enlightened beings who distributed that knowledge. Our senses are very imperfect. For example, I might see smoke coming up over there on the horizon. And even though all my five senses are engaged, I'm unable to determine based off of my senses whether there's a fire, like a forest fire there, or maybe someone's cooking something, or maybe there's a planned bonfire. My ability to gather information from my five senses is very limited. And that's called inductive reasoning. So if a smoke is coming up, I have to induce some sort of material fact. So I have to induce, is that a fire? Is it a charcoal grill? What is that? Like, how is the fire coming? I have to do inductive reasoning, which is imperfect. Deductive reasoning is deducing from the highest level of knowledge down. So that's a spiritual nugget for all of you guys. So I know I've been kind of going on pretty fast, Jesse. So feel free.
No, I mean, it's been great, honestly. I've been enjoying listening. Honestly, there's usually whenever you and I speak together, I come at it with a more practical stance, and you typically are much more technical and like to dissect things. So, yeah, I'm always happy to listen.
Right. Well, I'm also really happy with y'all's engagement so far here in the chat. Very, very happy to see that, actually. We've been seeing multiple people kind of tune in and out. If I don't want to keep this going on too much longer, so I want to open this up for a quick Q&A if you guys have any questions regarding credit, or anything involving finance also. While we're waiting for the questions to come in, please do contact us here. I wonder if it'll let me edit this thing.
And most of the information that we give away in our live streams is completely free. So this is your time to ask us really anything. We do charge. So, if you guys want a consultation, you can book a consultation in regards to credit. And, we will charge you guys for that. But if you're here on the live now and you have questions you want to ask us anything, ask away, because you guys can get the information at the expense of our time.
Yes, we do charge for consulting. Generally speaking, we do accept lawful payment as well. So at least for consulting. So if y'all, I take silver for days, dude. Silver for days.
We even give a discount for silver if you purchase in silver.
Tanya says a fact by legal definition is an event. Yes, because everything in the material universe is actually a verb. The only nouns are the supreme being and the individual souls, and the events, the pastimes of those elevated souls and the supreme being. Don Archibald says, in disputing with a creditor, are you able to settle and have them remove the entire disputed account from their computers? So in terms of what they have in terms of being on data, that's actually technically a copyright claim. So I do offer trust structures to where you can make your copyright claim and actually have them move it from the database. But we don't actually dispute. We do technically what's called an attack. We attack their ability to report these items on your account. So to answer your question, they are not allowed to report it. So it'll always be off of their database. That information has to get deleted off of eOscar. That's their protocol. Now, as to their backup information, they may still keep it, in which case you do need to make a trademark or a copyright claim to be able to actually have them remove it for their database and actually do a forensics accounting on whether they have that or not.
And that copyright claim, just so we're clear here, it can't be just like a regular common law copyright claim that some of you guys may have in a trust. It needs to be public record.
Yes, so it can be common law, but part of the common law means to be on public record. So they do need to be notified of that fact. So iTech says, when we open credit cards on the private side, the debt accumulated on the bank side isn't real. Is it possible to keep the account open with a permanent credit card as we provided the value? That's actually called a charge card or a line of credit. So credit cards are basically lines of credit that have a card with a set spending limit on it. Charge cards are the same thing. They're cards, but they don't have a set spending limit. And it is possible to get open-end lines of credit through banks since they're securities intermediaries. That actually deals with securitization, which is a very deep topic. But essentially, you give them something of consideration for them to securitize, and they give you a line of credit against it. That's the easiest way to explain it. Let's see. Something crazy to think about: Constitution, supreme law of the land, not people. What land are they talking about? Lol, the planet. Yeah, it can get deep. I would say study the individual authors of the Constitution to get a more firm grasp of how they use language. And there's just money in accounting, which could allow. So this is in response to Don's last question about in their system, which could allow for a reapply with the same creditor in the future. So I think I know what you're saying. Are you saying that that information is deleted off the alleged creditors database? That I am not sure. Generally, you consent to letting them store that information on file. But the best approach is that if you made good on your previous commitments, meaning if you got it deleted, people make mistakes all the time. Oftentimes, companies like American Express, where if you failed to pay on a line of credit, if you arrange something with them, they'll usually give you another line of credit after you've settled the original matter. Kathy James says, good day. I'm listening from Ontario, Canada, and I know the laws are different, but in general, do you know why credit scores can drop drastically from one month to another? There's so many reasons why credit scores drop. I'm not sure if the FICO system is used in Canada, but here in America, the FICO system is broken up into a couple major categories. One is credit utilization. How much of your open credit are you using? Number two is payment history, which are the two main ones. And then number three is credit mix. Number four is inquiries, and which is very, very little. And then number five is new credit. Now, I don't think I'm missing anything else, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So if that information, anything in there changes, it changes the score. So if you used more of a balance, if you got a new line of credit, if you made a late payment, if you that can drastically drop your score from one month to the other. Irene says, morning. Is school debt and medical easy to remove from personal files? Medical is extremely easy to remove. School debt, only if it's in collections. If you are current on your school debt, very, very difficult to remove items off your credit that is current. Very, very, very difficult. I mean, it can be done, but it's usually just a pain in the butt.
And that's anything, not just school debt.
Equus Living says, have you ever used equity to settle for a credit card that's suing you? Yes, I have. Well, not myself personally, but I have guided people through that process. Just to give you a little bit of nugget, all I would do is in your case, in your interrogatories, I would ask them, can you please show some sort of accounting that proves that your company transferred funds from my account, from your account, the credit card company, to my account? Was there actual funds being moved, or how exactly did the security agreement securitize my social security number, my information? Because from my understanding, this credit card is a securities instrument. If you go to a securities broker, he can actually pull the QSIP for your credit card. So if you can bring up the QSIP report in court and notify the IRS that the taxes were not done on that security instrument, and in your interrogatories ask for proof that funds were transferred, usually you'll have a much easier time in court. Okay, let a few more few more questions come in. Again, if you guys want help, we do offer free initial 15-minute consultation to see if we'll be able to help you out. Give us a call. Our office number, 817-389-7722, or shoot us an email at info@cre.credit. And we will definitely love to help you guys out. Credit starts with promise. So I'll let a few more questions come in if you guys have any more questions. Otherwise, we are going to be approaching that hour mark. I don't want to keep anybody much longer. Let's see. I actually have someone texting me about logging into their portal. So we do have a portal. So when you guys sign up for us, you'll be able to see what's going on. A few of my clients have had some issues with image stuff populating on their portal. So if y'all are watching this, I'm in the process of resolving that. That should be done here pretty soon. But yeah, please.
If you're already working with us and you're having issues seeing anything on your credit report, it's usually an issue with the credit report furniture. So if you're using like MyScore IQ, for example, a lot of people just forget to pay the monthly subscription, and then they log into our portal and they're not able to see what their credit report is, and then they contact us and they're like, "Why can't we see your report?" And we're like, "Well, you got to renew your subscription."
Yes. Yes. So yes, that is important. If you guys decide to get our service, you do need to have a monthly credit monitoring service. Not every 3 months, not every 6 months, not every year, every month. Yep. Okay. And that's because that's what we use to track the progress, as well as we literally cut and paste from the report. We literally pull it off and put it into our administrative correspondences.
And the dispute letters that we send, we're gonna have to kind of go over some of it. We're probably gonna need time to like do some edits over the papers, because there's a lot of information in there that we can't share with you guys. But they're not like, typically whenever you guys see a dispute letter, they're like 1 or 2 pages long, and then they're sent out. Our dispute pages are 12 to 15 pages. We're not just sending a little bit of information saying, "Hey, this doesn't belong to me, please remove it." We're actually showing to them why it doesn't belong on your report.
Yes, that's correct. So let's see. Slick Will says, "I'm at 650 credit with one account in collections for 1,000. How do I get to 800? First thing you should do is remove that collection, remove that collection.
Yeah, but that's still not going to get you to an 800. You're going to have to also, if you don't have them, you're going to need some positive lines of revolving credit, and also diversifying those positive lines helps a lot as well. And then age. Age is going to be really important as well. You get those 3 things, though, that'll put you into 800, assuming you have no negative ones.
Yes, that's right. So Avery Kyle, so he's actually one of our clients, says, "I'm on my 5th round now. If I have to sue the credit bureaus to provide a roadmap to proceed." Yes, we do. So I'm actually what's awesome is I was just talking with Jesse actually about creating a program, which we have right now that no one has really seen through yet, because we've had a lot of success of actually setting up that procedure for you, setting up that the documents and all that set up for you for a lawsuit or arbitration, and just have you go in there and present it. So we're in the works of doing that right now. We've already have a few people on that program, but we take them through our process, which is very effective before we get to that point. It's usually not so much later. So yes, we can provide a roadmap. So please feel free to give us a shout and see if I can't help you individually.
And Avery Kyle, I know you're pretty confident with the amount of studying and the knowledge that you've had, but for anybody who is maybe less confident in maybe standing before a judge and actually presenting to them why this item should be removed or why they should be awarded something in a lawsuit, you can always hire an attorney, and we'll provide the same information to the attorney to kind of make it a no-brainer for them.
Yes, that's correct. So if I purchase an Amex trade line on my report, am I still able to apply for a credit card with Amex? Yeah, because most nowadays they show that that's an authorized user. So they usually don't have an issue with that. Depending on how old the account is, usually it's just as long as it's older than 6 months, they'll usually let you get another Amex, no problem. How do I get out of jury duty? That's tough. I would actually encourage you to go to jury duty because it is a great learning experience. But if you really have to get out of it, the way you get out of jury duty is that you have to undo your voter registration.
And you can also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Brendan, but I believe you can also explain to them why you can't be you have to be what is it? You basically have to be like an unbiased party, so you can just explain to them why you wouldn't be a good candidate as an unbiased party.
Yes, you could tell them that if the defendant was black or white, that you might favor one thing or the other. You can tell them that here's a really easy way to disqualify yourself from a jury. If you could do it in trial, you can tell the attorney that, well, if your client is in here, he must have done something, because innocence is presumed in law. So you can just show your bias and show your lack of what your duty is as a jury, and they'll usually get rid of you and replace you. I've seen there's a popular YouTube channel called DUI. He's like a DUI guy, I think. DUI guy is his name. He's an attorney for DUI cases, and he got rid of an entire jury panel by asking the jury, do you think? He tells the jury by law, actually, I could just sit here with my client and we do absolutely nothing. The district attorney is going to have to present his case and present all the evidence. And he's the one actually with the burden of proof to prove that my client was actually guilty. And so who here thinks that, who here would not be comfortable with or think that it might be wrong if we didn't even come up with a defense and we just allowed the district attorney only to speak? And they all would say, oh, well, I think you should have both sides. And, well, if he's in here, he's in here for a reason, and blah, blah, blah. All those people he disqualified from the jury. So look that up. Look up like DUI guy, like dismisses jury panel. Yeah, Slick Will says the same thing. Say you're incredibly biased. Like you think everyone is guilty, almost Sharia law, you'll get kicked out. Yep, yeah. Perfect. He also asks, are you going into court as the transmitting utility or as the man? Well, you can't go into court as anyone else but yourself. So you're always going in as the man, but who's actually the movant or who's actually the parties, okay, may or may not be a fictional entity. If you're in a common court of pleas, you're dealing with men and women. If you're in any of these administrative courts, you're dealing with fictional entities. And so you're going in as the man, as the authorized representative and non-accommodating party for the entity that's listed on the court docket. So that's the answer to that one.
I love how you just say that so fast, so quickly. Like you've been through it so much at this point. You're just like, oh yeah, you just come in as the authorized user and the non-accommodating third party for the entity. It's like, yep. You're like, hold on a second, say that one more time, a little bit slower.
Yeah. Yep. Well, they have that feature on the YouTube, so you can put it at 0.75. Y'all didn't catch it. One more quick question: what is your maximum amount of rounds you will attempt? We will continue to go until they're all deleted. So we will keep going and going. We don't have any maximum amount. We will continue to go and go and go and go.
We do have a timeline, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do have a timeline for the guarantee. I mean, we're trying to hit, a certain period of time, but let's say that we've gotten most of the items deleted. There's a few lingering, and we're already past like the anticipated timeline. We will continue to work on them. We'll continue to go. Have you guys read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey? He is a smart guy. No, I haven't. I've studied a little bit of Dave Ramsey, but I have not. Yeah. So that being said, guys, I do actually have to finish this live. I actually have a consultation with another potential client. So thank you guys so much for joining us here at the Credit Experts, and look forward to our next video here on Saturday. If you guys are not subscribed, click that subscribe button, and please like this video, like this live, and once this is published and on our YouTube channel, like that video, click the bell icon to receive notifications on when we're on, and look forward to our next video on Saturday. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week on our live stream. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Have a very awesome day.
Hare Krishna.